On April 14, 2026, the World's Aviation Authority ranked the busiest cargo airports on Earth. Number 1, Hong Kong, 5 million tons. Number 2, Shanghai, 4 million tons. Number 3, Anchorage, Alaska. Not Memphis, not Louisville, Anchorage, a city of 300,000 people. No manufacturing, no port, just the state-owned airport at the edge of the wilderness, handling 3.8 million metric tons of freight in 2025 and overtaking Memphis to become the busiest cargo airport in the United States. The reason it sits between Shanghai and Memphis on that list has nothing to do with what Anchorage produces. It has everything to do with where Anchorage sits on the planet. Pull out a globe, not a flat map. Draw a straight line from Tokyo to New York, Shanghai to Chicago, Seoul to Los Angeles. Every single one of those lines passes within 200 miles of Anchorage. On a flat map, flying Asia to America looks like it crosses the Pacific. On the actual planet, the shortest path goes over the top, right over Alaska, right over Stevens Anchorage International Airport. Anchorage sits 9.5 hours flying time from 90% of the industrialized Northern Hemisphere, between Asia's manufacturing centers and America's consumption markets, in a position no other airport on Earth can replicate. That's not strategy, that's geometry. FedEx, UPS, Cathay Pacific, Atlas Air, Kalitta, they're all exploiting that geometry to move more freight through one Alaskan airport than any other in the United States. How long has this been happening, and why does almost nobody know about it?
Anchorage didn't start with cargo, it started with the Cold War. In the 1950s, the shortest route between Europe and Asia crossed Soviet airspace, and the Soviets said no. Western airlines couldn't use it. So every carrier, SAS, Lufthansa, Air France, JAL, KLM, flew the long way around, over the top of the world, which meant refueling somewhere. That somewhere was Anchorage. On February 24, 1957, SAS inaugurated the first commercial polar route, Copenhagen to Tokyo via Anchorage. Within a decade, a dozen carriers were stopping here between continents. The airport called itself the Air Crossroads of the world. It wasn't wrong. Then, two things happened simultaneously in the late 1980s that should have killed Anchorage as a transit hub forever. Gorbachev opened Soviet airspace, and Boeing delivered the 747-400 with enough range to fly Tokyo to London non-stop. By October 31, 1991, JAL operated their last Paris-Anchorage-Tokyo flight. The passenger era was over. Anchorage went from air crossroads of the world to a ghost almost overnight. What saved it? The cargo planes nobody was watching. FedEx acquired Flying Tiger Line in 1989, trans-Pacific cargo rights and a growing network. They opened a sorting hub in Anchorage that year. UPS followed in 1990. Cargo doesn't care about comfort or connections. Cargo cares about one thing: maximum weight, maximum distance, minimum cost. In that equation, Anchorage is essentially unbeatable. To understand why Anchorage works, you need to understand one number: 125,000 pounds. 125,000 pounds of additional cargo per flight. That is what stopping in Anchorage is worth to a 747 operator. A 747 flying non-stop from Shanghai to Memphis carries enough fuel for the entire 7,000-mile journey. That fuel takes up payload. Stop in Anchorage at the halfway point, take less fuel at origin, fill the weight savings with cargo, refuel in Alaska for the second leg, and you arrive in Memphis with 125,000 more pounds than you could carry non-stop. Anchorage Deputy Director Trudy Wassel calls it the payload equation. She says they can take more cargo, less fuel, so that's why they land here. Cargo is 80% of our revenue from the cargo players that land here. This math is why 31 international cargo carriers use Anchorage, why Cathay Pacific runs 70 weekly flights through it, their second busiest port globally after Hong Kong, why Atlas Air logged 4,000 plus landings in just the first 8 months of 2024. Typical UPS sequence: depart Louisville 3 a.m., arrive Anchorage 6 a.m., swap crew, refuel, depart, arrive Tokyo 9 a.m. for afternoon delivery. The airport sits in the middle of a clock that never stops. Can't modern freighters fly non-stop? The 737F has the range. Yes, but only with reduced payload. Fly a max-loaded 747-8F from Hong Kong to Memphis non-stop? You can't. The cargo is too heavy for the fuel required. Stop in Anchorage, carry the full load. As long as operators want maximum payload, the physics keep Anchorage on the route.
Before we go further, here is the honest version of Anchorage's #1 U.S. ranking. ANC grew 4.2% in 2025. That's real, healthy growth. But Memphis fell 20.9%, losing nearly 800,000 metric tons in a single year. Anchorage didn't just outgrow Memphis. Memphis partly collapsed. The reason: FedEx is restructuring its entire network, a project called Network 2.0. And UPS won the U.S. Postal Service airmail contract from FedEx in 2024, redirecting a massive block of overnight tonnage from Memphis to Louisville. That's why Louisville jumped to number 4 globally, up 7.7%. The U.S. cargo deck reshuffled all at once, and Anchorage happened to be the airport that held steady while everyone else moved. There is also one more thing the honest version requires. Anchorage is the only airport in the top 10 whose ACI count includes transit freight. A plane that lands, refuels, and takes off counts its cargo toward Anchorage's total, even if the boxes never leave the aircraft. In 2021, about 46% of ANC's volume was transit cargo. That is not a trick. That is exactly what a technical stop hub does. But it means Anchorage's 3.8 million tons and Memphis's 2.9 million tons are not perfectly comparable numbers. The ranking is real. The caveats make it more interesting, not less. Geography got Anchorage to the table. Congress built the walls. In 1996, and again under federal law in 2004, the U.S. government gave Anchorage, and only Anchorage, cargo transfer rights that no airport in the contiguous 48 possesses. A Cathay Pacific 747 from Hong Kong can land at Anchorage, transfer cargo to an Atlas Air 747 bound for Cincinnati, and legally, that freight is still international in transit. It hasn't entered the U.S. Interline transfers between competing carriers, commingling of U.S. and foreign cargo, change of gauge, offloading a wide body and reloading onto 2 narrow bodies. None of these are available at any lower 48 airport without the cargo being treated as a U.S. import. At Anchorage, they're all legal. Cathay's Tom Owen, Ted Stevens Anchorage has been a cornerstone in Cathay Cargo's trans-Pacific operations for many decades. That's not sentiment, it's a legal privilege no other U.S. airport can offer. Geography makes Anchorage convenient, the law makes it irreplaceable. If Anchorage were a Cold War relic running on geometry and legal privilege, this would be a history video. It's not. In 2026, 3 major cargo facilities are opening simultaneously, $317 million in new private investment. FedEx's $42 million ANCA sorting building separates domestic and international sort flows. FedEx doesn't build sort facilities at airports they're leaving. Their Anchorage hub is already the largest FedEx Express hub outside Memphis. 1,400 employees, 60,000 packages a day. In 2024, they launched direct Singapore Anchorage 777F service, new route, not a maintained one. The Alaska Cargo and Cold Storage Complex, 700,000 square feet, 32.5 million cubic feet of climate-controlled capacity. This is not a fuel stop facility. Cold storage means perishables in, pharmaceuticals in, temperature-sensitive electronics. Anchorage capturing value from what passes through, not just charging to refuel. Northlink Aviation's $200 million private cargo terminal on the South Campus, anchored by long-term Cathay Cargo agreement from October 2025. 130,000 square foot warehouse, 11 wide-body hardstands, customs clearance, a permanent logistics base, not a stopover.
UPS separately, a $110 million expansion on the North Airfield. FedEx America's president Richard Smith, right now, cargo is king. Alaska and in particular Anchorage are only growing in importance over time. 3 real risks. First, the de minimis collapse. On April 2, 2025, an executive order ended duty-free treatment for Chinese packages under $800, the Shein parcels, the Temu orders, the Amazon haul deliveries. This was one of the fastest-growing trans-Pacific cargo segments. Northlink CEO Sean Dolan, the recent implementation of tariffs and changes in e-commerce rules have created a lot of uncertainty. Second, aircraft range. The 777-8F, entering service by decade's end, can fly Hong Kong to Memphis non-stop with reduced payload. As efficiency improves, the economics of the Anchorage stop narrow. They don't disappear, but they compress. Third, Memphis can recover. FedEx's -20.9 in 2025 was partly structural, Network 2.0 and the USPS contract loss. If FedEx stabilizes and wins back freight share, ANC's #1 U.S. ranking becomes a one-cycle story, not a permanent shift. The geometry doesn't change, the legal moat doesn't change, but how much cargo flows through Anchorage versus bypasses it depends on trade policy, fuel economics, and aircraft range in ways that geography alone cannot protect.
Here is the full picture. The world's airports body ranked a 300,000-person city in Alaska above every cargo airport in the continental United States, not because Anchorage produces anything remarkable, because of where the planet put it. 9.5 hours from 90% of the industrialized world, on the Great Circle path between every major Asian factory and every major American market. 3 runways over 10,000 feet, legal transfer rights no other U.S. airport has. Yes, half the tonnage is transit. Yes, Memphis partly collapsed to deliver the #1 ranking. Yes, longer-range freighters are narrowing the moat. The honest version includes all of that. But $627 million in cargo infrastructure opens in 2026, 31 international cargo carriers, 70 Cathay flights per week, the largest FedEx hub outside Memphis, a cold storage complex built to capture value from what passes through, not just charged to refuel. None of that is history. All of it is construction happening right now. AIAS Director Angie Speer after the April 14th ranking, ANC continues to prove that Alaska is at the center of global commerce. The center of global commerce is in Alaska. Because a planet is a sphere, a straight line goes over the top, and the geometry of Earth is more powerful than any airline strategy ever written.